Good morning, children. How's everyone doing today? Good morning, children. Everybody, it's going to be an absolutely wicked day. We will first start here with the stock Chicken Wing, because yesterday we had mentioned Chicken Wing. Actually, I posted it somewhere in here. Scrolling down, there we go. 20 hours ago, added long to Chicken Wing at 242.95. Stops below algo trend at 237.32, give or take, blah, blah, blah. I ended up taking some profit yesterday because I just decided not to hold through earnings, but doesn't really matter. If you decide to hold through earnings, that's cool. But yeah, so Chicken Wing ended up working out really well. So we'll just do a quick little review on Chicken Wing here because why not? But yeah, so pretty much it's very simple, right? And yesterday, the stock Wing, which is Wingstop, it was popping up on the biggest gainers list. We simply looked at it. We found that it was breaking over the 30-minute 50 SMA in a regular trading hours chart, which generally means the market is trying to start an uptrend, an algorithmic buying trend. Sometimes they work, sometimes not. You get the point. But ultimately, yesterday, Wing breaking up over 50 SMA on a regular trading hours chart, 30-minute time frame. Market maker structure can be changing from negative to positive, so we go long. Mention it on the internet. So essentially yesterday, Wing turns positive, bullish grinding long day into earnings, right? So you can kind of see how sometimes the market sets itself up, right? So someone today might come in and see Wing jump on earnings all the way to $300 a share and be like, oh my gosh, that was crazy, right? Mind you, I and many others, we will look at Wing and go, Wing started a buy signal yesterday leading into earnings, and then it goes up more today. Kind of makes sense, right? Because just clearly, right, that's a lot of times what we do see happen is markets will enter buy signals going into earnings and then jump just like that. So it's kind of one of those little pieces of the puzzle. Someone might look at Wing today, see it jumps up and go, oh my gosh, right? But the reality is it started an algorithmic long yesterday over the 50 SMA. That's the way I think about it and read it. And when I say algorithmic long, it's because we know that algorithms specifically watch simple moving average calculations. So obviously once Wing starts to break over the price of 236.43 yesterday, algorithms are reading that. Most retail participants aren't, right? Because that's just something they don't look at, right? Now, obviously, those of you that watch the stream with me, and if our streams ever become, even, somewhat popular, like 10 to 20 people, more than the 5 we get, then more retail traders would watch it. Now, if our stream ever gets, into the thousands and thousands of views, then we know that more retail traders would be watching these algorithmic price points, right? So that being said, most retail doesn't watch what we're talking about right there. They don't even, consider it to be something of importance. I didn't at one time, but now that I see it, I can't see it any other way. But anyway, so Chicken Wing has gone up. Let's see how much. Chicken Wing has now gone up a total of 25% from yesterday over the SMA calculation into this morning off of earnings. Not bad, not bad. Cool. What do we have next? Don't know. Well, let's look at the market. So obviously those that are in the stream from yesterday, now I know no one's here right now, and the likelihood there's going to be a lot of people in the stream is very unlikely, but maybe one day the internet will, help us. But for the time being, I know I'm just speaking to myself. But anyways, we do know that the S&P 500 is currently negative, right? S&P 500 is currently below trend. Also, yesterday, one of the last things I mentioned on the internet was SPY. It looks to be targeting $686. They're targeting the 686 algo, right? As you can see, we're talking about algos again, right? And that's simply just because algorithms specifically, and when I say algorithms, it's just computer programming, if-then statements, right? And so if-then statements like to use SMA calculations. One of the SMA calculations, well, one of the more important ones is the 50 SMA on the 30-minute time frame, etc. And that is priced right at $685.50. So pretty much what you're going to see is yesterday and into today, the market does what? Runs up to the price of 686, give or take, right? And that's because that's where the SMA calculation is at, right? Because algorithms read SMA calculations. But anyway, so the simple way of putting it is yesterday what we saw on, I'm always so detailed, I try to be, but, but the reality is, right, the market, just like Wing, right? So if I were to kind of move this for a second, right? If you think about Wing, right, or it's right there, right? Look at Wing back here. Hold on. Right, if you look at Wing back yesterday, right, when we said watch it long, right, and next you know it's up, I don't even know, 25%. That you see how it came up and over the SMA calculation, right? So that yellow line is just like it's right here, right? The SMA calculation. So we know Wing is into a long, right? Now, if we go back and we look at the SPY, we can see, right, it was in a downtrend, and then right here, just like on Wing, see how Wing did it over here? Look at here. Right, so SPY crosses up and over the SMA. Long story short, that's a long play. All right, and then it gets resistance for whatever reason it wants to, probably because the VIX started to break out or whatever, and then pulls back down, hits SMA, bounces, right, and then right here is where it loses the SMA, where the computers and the algorithms and those that control the market said, no, we're going to break SMA calculation, and then we're going to go to a selling program. So now we go through a selling program. It gets oversold and it just does a little bit of an oversold bounce, right? Goes back down, gets oversold, does a little bit of a double bottom, whatever, oversold bounce, all the way back to the SMA calculation. And now, unless it starts a new uptrend, this is just going to be a continuation resistance check of the SMA trend, and the market stays in a bearish selling program. All right, so all you need to know is that the market is currently in a bearish selling program, right? So pretty much, what's that mean? That means that you're not long buys the stock market. Maybe at some point, but not right now. All right. Maybe one day someone will tune in, but not quite today. Where did my scanner go? All right, well, in the meantime, I'll just sit here and scan through some stocks and find some more plays for the internet, as we normally do. Ooh, damn, that sucks. That's lame. Kind of just barely, of course. Just miss. The stock LRHC is starting to move. It started a long operation about a day ago, and then it just broke over. Well, it didn't just, but essentially it did just start an uptrend like a day ago. Kind of exploding up right now. Needs a pullback. We'll see. It's elevated. Risk is elevated. It's not really something that most people should even consider, actually, at the end of the day. Okay, what is next on our to-do list for today? Let's see. Oh yeah, duh. Gotta look at the scanner. Yep, just the typical BNF. It's kind of watching BNF. I got BNF. I'm watching the stock, or sorry, BENF. That's a stock. It's like $5. I got it targeting down to about $5.50 right now, give or take. But yeah, I kind of expect BENF would sell down to about $5.50. Yeah, might as well put that on the internet because what better than to help the entire public know where a stock can be going to before it goes there? You know what I'm saying, dog. BNF targeting down to around 5.5, etc. If holds 5 point, is that right? No, it's 4.5. I'm a dummy. It's actually 460. So we'll just fix that up. Be turning out around 4.60. Well, it's not. There's always so much you gotta cover, but whatever. BNF has room down to 4.6 and 4.6, an algo level that may be used for a bounce, etc. Don't fade the pop. All right, is there anything else that's even close to decent today? AAUD, I mean, that might have continuation, but again, I'm not much of a continuation player. I'm much of a trend starter kind of guy, if you will. REN, my X. No, that's nothing. GLB, well, RENX, let's see. Maybe, I mean, it doesn't really look good. Like I said, chances are most of the time you're going to look for something. There isn't going to be anything to actually trade. And as far as, well, pretty much, yeah, most things. Well, it's not entirely true, but you get the point. Yeah, I kind of should have already participated on that one. Yeah, I'm going to pass. CLDI. That looks like garbage. RSI. Well, it started a buy move yesterday into earnings. Earnings is up today, so it pretty much made the same move as Wing. So, not that there's anybody here that really cares because there's no one here, but I will show you guys another one from yesterday. So check this bad boy out. So pretty much this is the same setup as Wing in a way, right? So if you looked yesterday, right? Stock yesterday goes up. I'm not going to draw, I'm just going to do one thing, right? So the stock goes up to where? Price is $16.59, and that is the start of an algorithmic uptrend. So you can see yesterday, right? Market goes up to SMA, breaks over, SMA, pulls back to SMA. That's the uptrend and the back test, and then into earnings, and there's your move, right? So this earnings play was all kind of like, I don't want to say it was predetermined, but there was already somebody in the market and whomever, whatever, already either knew, however you want to say it, but you can clearly see yesterday they sent the market up into an uptrend, and now we are up a total of 27% from that buy point, right? So if you wanted to put on some risk yesterday, you could have. So that was that. Hold on 1 second. Where am I at in the stream? How far are we in? How does that even work? That's annoying. How would I? I don't even know. Weird. Whatever. Doesn't matter. So yeah, cool. I'll just chill here all day by myself, like we normally do. Yeah, right now the YouTube algo don't really got no love for a brother, but that's okay. I mean, the reality is I'll sit here for forever. It doesn't really matter, right? So yeah, so LRHC, again, that's a little penny stock popping up, but it looks like straight. I don't want to say it looks bad. It's just going straight up, right? And the buy point was either a day ago or early this morning pre-market, and so that's kind of already happened. And I don't really see a whole lot of anything else moving. Let's double check the Russell 2000. That can be a decent indication. I mean, the Russell 2000 started to get positive yesterday. So if the SPY gets back to positive and the Russell 2000 gets back to positive, then it'd be more likely we would see better moves in the penny stock market. So we'll see if that happens over the next day or two. Looking at all of the Magnificent Seven stuff here. Hold on, I'm missing something. Amazon, Google, Nvidia, Meta. Oh, normally I'd look at, that's right, I would normally follow like an AMD too. We'll just keep that one up there. So, why is Microsoft all out of whack here? Let's fix that one. Yeah, so when we look at a lot of the Magnificent Seven stuff, and all my volume's getting jacked up. I don't know. But either way, Magnificent Seven stuff, none of them are in buy moves right now. So essentially, we're not long bias any Magnificent Seven stock right now. Not that won't change. I'm just saying for the moment, they're not. You can look at, let's change this one. Yeah, if you look at the time frame of, actually Amazon. Amazon might be. Oh, also it's pre-market. I'm not even looking at the pre-market, but yeah, Amazon. It's possible Amazon's. It's possible a few other are, but if you look at the regular trading hours, none of them would be. But obviously, if that changes, that could be something. Oh, yep. And the typical Amazon 30-minute. Oh, my back. Jeez, back is just getting so bad these days. Probably because I have terrible posture. Oh, shoot. Yeah, so Amazon is the only, I don't want to say it's the only stock. It doesn't even matter. Like I said, Amazon had a long play from over the 50 SMA to the 4 hours. So yeah, Amazon just moved from 201s up to 204s. Right now it's running into its 4-hour resistance trend at 204.86. So if you wanted to basically short Amazon, you had to do it there at about 204.86 for a small trade, etc. S&P 500. Hey, one person. Hey, beautiful soul. We've covered quite a bit already this morning to nobody, so that's always good. So if you want to, review a bunch of stuff from earlier, feel free. But yeah, we just went over just a couple things. So if anybody actually watches the stream, they'll have a pretty good idea of what's been going on. But yeah, fuck it. Why not? Scrooge it. Alrighty. Yeah, I don't even know what to say at this point. I've covered too much. Let's see, what about Meta? Meta definitely stayed down. Yep, figures. So Meta's staying in the downtrend. Is having its resistance. Yeah, so right now Meta's still negative. A lot of the Magnificent 7 stocks are still negative. It looks like AMD is still negative, so we're not going to buy AMD yet. Or me. I'm just saying me, I wouldn't be buying AMD yet. Nvidia may actually have just started getting positive into a long this morning. So actually, Nvidia is not terrible. That one's debatable. So right now, Nvidia could be starting a new long play. The risk is that it's going to sell back down to $186.85 to back test its uptrend start. So it's kind of the situation where Nvidia is starting in. When I say starting an uptrend, screw it. I don't want to confuse people. Nvidia is starting a potential uptrend. If it works, great. If it doesn't, it would have to fail 186.65. The risk is that it hasn't back tested its breakout in the live trading hours. Therefore, 186.85 becomes the risk, right? Because if it breaky outy with no back testy, then arguably it either has to keep going or it has to back test, right? So arguably you got a couple dollars risk downside on Nvidia, but that one might be starting into a long play. So yeah, that's something to consider. Let's take a second. Actually, where's my... Hold on, this is supposed to be... Let's go over to YouTube here. Switch account, go view your channel. Sorry, I'm getting to somewhere. Posts. Good morning, Sam. How are you, brother? All right, so yesterday, let's take a look at Chicken Wing real quick. So I want to bring up the stock Wing. Now, I don't know how many of you were chilling with us yesterday with this one, but I just wanted to show you guys because it ended up working out really well, right? So every once in a while, we'll get something like this, but oh my gosh, I'm only 32 and I'm back. It's just so out of whack. It's probably because I played too much golf. But yeah, so look at Chicken Wing, right? So Chicken Wing yesterday, we had mentioned to get long. It's actually right there, added long wing 242.95, right? So regardless of what I did, I just want to emphasize that wing yesterday on stream, we mentioned it for very simple reasons. We went through the biggest gainers manually. We came across wing. I noticed that wing was entering an uptrend, just like I mentioned Nvidia, right? Just a second ago, I was like, hey, Nvidia could be entering an uptrend and blah, 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 right? Same thing. Wing, yesterday, it's breaking over the SMA calculation at 235.63, right? That's where market makers and structure of markets can be flipping. Or another way of saying it, because obviously retail or the beginner trader probably doesn't know what that means. It would just be the markets are trying to enter an uptrend. All right. So yesterday, biggest gainers, we see wing moving up on the day, so much so it enters an uptrend. I come on YouTube and go, hey guys, look at uptrend. Wing into earnings could be a setup, meaning they're moving it into an uptrend because earnings is going to be good, or someone knows something, that's why it's moving up into an uptrend prior to earnings. But anyway, so all we're getting at is wing. Beautiful move. It's up like 27%. It went from like $235 all the way to $300 within a day's time because it went into an uptrend, and then apparently whoever controls the market wanted it to go up off earnings. So you can many times find things like that where it actually, there was another, it just happened on another one. Hold on, I'm going to bring it up. It is, shoot, I kind of forget. It's been a while since I looked at it. There was another one pre-market that just did the same exact setup. I don't know. It was a little higher priced. Was it GLBE? Let me see if I can find it. No, was it TCMD? Yep, here you go. So here's another one. So this is the same setup with wing, right? And I didn't find this one yesterday, but so if you look at TCMD, so what did TCMD do yesterday? TCMD comes up, right, over the 30 minute, so it breaks out the 30 minute, just like that, right, enters an uptrend, leading into earnings, and from the uptrend start, you are now up 37% today. So very similar setup there to TCMD. So again, these are kind of sometimes things we see, especially obviously around earnings, right? Markets can enter buy signals, markets can go into downtrends right into earnings, and then you have that kind of continuation. So the flip side of it though too is that, even, arguably earnings could have been bad, and then just below would have been the breakdown. I don't want to confuse you and bore you guys to death with a bunch of randomness. So anyways, that's that. Long Valentine's weekend is over. Love was in the air. Discipline was not. No, for sure. So yeah, as it relates to today, I mean, we have some FOMC minute stuff. There's some economic data. I'm literally not concerned about that one bit. I usually am never really concerned about that. But right now, currently, the market is below the 50 SMA. So pretty much that just means we're not positive on the market yet. And I gotta get this thing back into, there it goes. We're not positive on the market yet. So that pretty much just means that the market, I think it's going to continue into a short here. So, arguably, I think it's still bearish. When I say I think it's still bearish, it's the sense that, I guess it's the same story as always, guys, right? Until it's over the 50 SMA, we're not in a long program buying move, right? You guys know this. Well, some of you know this, but yeah, so pretty much this is it, right? So this is a move back to the 50 SMA, right? 50 SMA. So unless this is actually like getting above it and programs start buying long, this just becomes the start of a new short down. And it doesn't have to look like the way I drew it, but pretty much that's what that is. So until this thing really proves that it wants to be over its algorithmic 50 SMA, then we're just going to be looking bearish leading into today as well. So it's pretty much that. If we bring up the SPX as something else I want to show you, and we throw an anchored volume weighted average price to the breakdown of the 50 SMA, you can see that the market is still trading below the volume weighted average price of the current selling program or selling trend or selling operation or whatever, right? So past couple days of action have not been, or these little oversold bounces you see, that's all this is, right? So the market, we go back a couple days, right? So the market is positive and along, pulls back to trend support, it bounces, it then comes back down to trend support and breaks. Now we're in a downtrend. This is an oversold bounce back to, in this case, the VWAP, resistance back down, oversold bounce back to the VWAP and the 50 SMA. Unless it's changing structure above, it just is a rejection and continuation of the current downtrend. Okay, so we, in theory, are right at the level that can dictate continuation or change, right? And that is what, and again, you know, that's it. Just like you see here, all right, the same SMA dictates markets changing up, markets changing down, markets changing up, markets changing down. So right now, we this morning are at the SMA that says market changes up or market continues down. All right. So that's pretty much that. Walt, so we actually closed down our website with a lot of that stuff on it. But what I'm doing over these next couple days is I am making, because we're no longer going to be operating that website and kind of charging for a chat room and things like that, at least for the foreseeable future. Not that I might never do that in the future, but you know, arguably, as long as YouTube is generous and allows us a platform to hopefully spread our knowledge in a meaningful manner, then I don't really ever foresee we'll go back to doing something like that. We'll see. I don't want to say never, you know, or what's that saying? Never say never. Yeah. But I am going to be making a digital download of pretty much everything, and then I'm going to be reaching out to pretty much everyone that was a customer and offering that download to you guys. So I'm kind of figuring out what might be the easiest and best way to do that. But as far as the scripts go, Walt, are you in the Discord? If you are, we have all the scripts there and you can just go in there and grab them. So let me send you an invite. Copy. How does this work? Copy. Cool. Here you go, Walt. So I just sent a little Discord link. Go in there. I don't know if you're already in there. You might be in there. And if you're already in there, all right, then just send me a message on Discord and then I'll just send you over all those scripts. I'll just copy and paste them into Discord and send you a message there. All right. So yeah, so that's that. So yeah, anyways, I'm gonna stop talking your guys' ear off. I'm gonna actually trying to find something to trade here because it really hasn't. Again, like I said, as far as stocks go and stuff like that, I mean the market's always there. I had a little bit of a long on the market overnight, targeting 686. I sold that because obviously I was just targeting 686. And if we were to go to my YouTube again, you can see yesterday, 18 hours ago, SPY looking to be targeting 686. All right, so I had a little bit of a long on overnight for an oversold bounce trade, but I don't have anything on now that's of meaning, I guess. So anyways, yeah, I'm just going to be flipping through, seeing if anything actually popped up. I see this RXT stock. Yeah, I probably should have been paying attention to that, but obviously, you know, that's what happens. So when you try to explain things to people on the internet, you kind of miss shit. So anyways, RXT started breaking out at the price of 44 cents. I don't know why, don't really care. Coming up into $1. Pretty much just means we're super late. I'm probably not going to be buying that. Yeah, nah. I mean, it's got a ton of volume. It might even continue, but like I said, we're super far off from that. Oh, my back. This is not good. Ugh. That's not good when you're just sitting and your back hurts. Yeah, I mean, the downside risk of RXT is 55%. So, you know, it's one of those things. You need to be buying that a lot of minutes ago. Cool. All right. Awesome. What's the next thing on deck? I'm just going to, again, like I said, I'm just going to be going through things. UUD. Terrible. Not at a buy point. JDZG. Terrible. That's bearish. BENF. I already mentioned that one's probably going down to about 460. Actually, if you look here on the post, BENF targeting down has room to 460. 460 is an algo level that may be used for a bounce, etc. Don't fade the pup. Don't fade the pup comes from my old Twitter channel, meaning because I used my dog's face as the profile picture of my Twitter page. So we'd always use the fun saying, don't fade the pup, right? So, meaning if we think it's going to 460, it's a good chance it's going to 460. Don't fade the pup. BNF, yeah, that one's not going to work. LRHC, that one pumped up, now fading back. Very similar in the sense to RXT, just elevated risk. Nothing to do there. TCMD, we went over that. That was the earnings. GLBE, that was the earnings, et cetera, et cetera. MNDR. MNDR, I don't even know. Let's see. Like I said, it doesn't take a whole long time to go through these things. MNDR started its long move about a day ago at $1.95, 89 cents, already broke out to $1.38, and it has yet to really back test its breakout. So either that stock just has to continue, or what's going to happen is it's going to break down. It's going to sell all the way back down to about 95 cents today. So I would essentially be targeting MNDR back down to 95 cents because, I don't know, it looks like garbage, and it's probably just what's going to happen. So MNDR is a no. RSI is an earn. That was actually the one I was talking about. That was yeah. Anyways, MCW. MCW is an earnings play. Already bought up. Doesn't matter. SABR. Something else has moved there. What was that? Is that DGNX? DGNX. This thing's popping up, starting to move. All right, just got over the 4 hour right there. It's not bad. It started its buying move on the 30-minute yesterday towards the end of the day, getting over the 4 hour, just broke out the 4 hour. So basically this thing's going to have to either back test, hold the 4 hour to continue, up to 85, maybe. Well, yeah, that one's going to be a no-go because obviously that is not allowed by the broker. All right, cool. Oh, what's next on deck here? Oh yeah, Walt, I'm sure you probably just messaged me. Let me get to that. Maybe not. Okay, you did not. So, cool. All right, sounds good. Yeah. So DGNX, obviously no. RENX, cheap, no. MCW, no. SABR, maybe. It's only the ones that are 30 each. No. That's funny. Wing did so good. GRM. Garmin. Earnings, Garmin, yeah. Same old. Okay, yeah, so pretty much there are no penny stocks, nothing on the biggest gainers that I think makes sense to trade because they've all either broken out, they're not at the buy point, or they're not back testing when I look, so that means no trade. Which again, that's pretty much how it's always going to go most days, right? Most days the market doesn't want you to participate at the exact perfect moment. They only last for seconds to minutes, so typically that's how that's going to go. No big deal. Bitcoin's still chilling, pretty much not doing a whole lot. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, this is pretty much, this is everything we would expect to happen with Bitcoin. We still have targets on Bitcoin down to, I think, around 58,000 that have not been tested. So if we go down to 58,000, in my opinion, totally normal, totally makes sense. We already went over Bitcoin pretty good yesterday. We mentioned why it's trading, where it's trading, etc. So for Bitcoin, again, we already mentioned that when it breaks down this price point here, if/when, but basically what's going to happen is, in my opinion, I already think Bitcoin's going to go down to this price here at 65,472. I hope it doesn't, but it probably will. Anyways, so yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. We're going to go down to about 65,439. Once we get down there, then the market will most likely try to hold it long again. only if you go below this price point here around 65,439 will then you trade down back to try to test these lows. So we're not really thinking about Bitcoin going to these lows unless it was actually below 65,439, etc. So anyways, Bitcoin's fine for the moment in that sense. Again, we're very early. Bitcoin, again, I don't really think is going to turn. I don't think we're going to see anything bullish long trending on Bitcoin until, again, 2027, maybe, or, well, yeah, beginning of, not even, well, kind of, yeah. Like minimum, beginning of 2027. I don't think Bitcoin's really bottoming until, beginning of 2027. If it wanted to bottom, right? You know what I mean? Like, basically, if the past continued to rhyme and the cycles were similar, then, like, just put it this way. If the cycles are similar to the past or repeat to some degree, correlate, then literally nothing cool is going to happen until the beginning of 2027, right? So that's something that's nice to know, is that if previous cycles rhyme or repeat with some degree of correlation, then you don't have to worry about any article or anything I say or anything anyone really says about the market bottoming and it's bear, and that you already know that it's not going to do anything bullish until beginning into 2027, leading into 2028. Literally, if past cycles rhyme and repeat, don't read any articles on the internet. They're not going to help you. They might screw with your psychology, right? So yeah, that's good. So that's the way I'm thinking. I don't really care. I know they were saying something about Epstein and Bitcoin, and then again, I don't even care, right? It's just like, okay, if it fails, it fails. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it keeps rhyming, we have until 2027. Everyone just chill out, stop panicking, right? So far, Bitcoin is doing everything I think anyone that has, some degree of knowledge of Bitcoin. I think it's trading exactly as it should. I don't think there's anything to worry about there, So yeah, just be patient, grab yourself a snack from the kitchen and just chill out. Okay, so today we're hoping maybe we get a little bit of a long. No, I'm just speaking randomness now. Like literally, I don't really even know what I'm saying. Yeah. So, anyways, I'll go to we can go to a 1 minute. I don't know. That kind of looks goofy, but yeah, whatever. But yeah, that's the level we're focused on right now. So you can see in the pre-market, right? So we took the market up. This is the SPY coming back to the 50 SMA, doing one bounce, and now breaking down, and then this is the back test, right? So right now, futures traders and whatnot, they're looking at maybe selling this short, trying to hold it down, blah, blah, blah. Again, I'm pretty much just going to be waiting into the open and, hopefully trying to gauge which direction we're going to take this market out for the day. If we start to break up over this price of 685.49 in a meaningful manner, I think it looks good, then maybe we'll go long. Otherwise, the market's just going to go back down into a short. And that's going to be the starting point, literally, like right where we're at right now. So yeah, I would, again, like I said, I think I'm still just going to be leaning a little more bearish on the market for the moment. I don't know, something tells me it's not quite ready to boost up into a long, but if it does, that's fine. We'll be here for it. And that's the other thing too, is like, just because I think something, it really doesn't matter what I guess it kind of matters what I think, but like I said, the market will always prove you right or prove you wrong, right? And at the end of the day, you can kind of gauge what you might think is going to happen. But ultimately, like I said, if the market wants over the 50 SMA, it doesn't matter if I think the market wants to maybe trade bearish. If it wants over the 50 SMA and break up and turn into a long, it's going to do it, right? If it wants to remain bearish and stay in a short, it's going to do it. But right now, the focal point, as we said, is right around this like 685.47 or Let me double check. Some other stuff here. What's the VIX doing? Well, I don't like. Well, that's another thing. The VIX. The VIX actually broke down the 30 minutes, so that would mean we're actually a little bit more poised on the long side. Like I said, I haven't really done a deep dive on the VIX yet here. What about VVIX? We have to wait till the open. QQQ is still below its 50 SMA. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it yet. Because that I mean, like I said, it's right on the level, right? I mean, the market's been breaking down, and then this morning, right there, that's it. Either we get above this, and then maybe we start along, or this is going to be the continuation. So, don't really know which. Again, like I said, I just try to read it if it goes over. Because remember, right, the initial short for the NASDAQ was back here. That was your short, right? Where we're at now would be the potential continuation of the breakdown that happened, right? So this would be down, down, back to the 50 SMA, right? It's either a continuation or the start of a new, right? And it always sucks to go short for a continuation and then it starts anew, right? Which I mentioned already in the stream. That's the challenging part of this strategy, is that you always know where to look, but it's when you get there, the decision to make, right? Sometimes it's a little bit more obvious than others. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they might do something like they did the other day and trade at the 50 SMA for an hour or two and screw around and then go. But you know you're always looking in the exact right spot, you know? So anyways, extended. But yeah, like I said, the NASDAQ is still below. So, but anyways, I have a small short now on SQQ. So I'm basically taking a bet that the NASDAQ isn't going to break out here this morning or leading into the open. It's actually going to pull back. So I am positioned bearish now for the market. And if I lose, it's not like I've lost before. But yeah, I'm just going to, it's very simple, right? I'm just basically bearish because it's not above, right? And then if it goes above and it starts a buy signal, then maybe I'll go long the market, sure, right? So it's basically because I haven't been given a true signal to be long the stock market that I'm not going long, and I'm just going to bet on, for the moment, the market's not going to go long. I don't know if this is going to turn into a phenomenal short from here. I just know the market isn't long bias yet, right? So I'm just going to give the market the opportunity to not be long bias yet. And if people then realize, oh shit, this isn't the right buy move, then maybe we can cascade out, right? Because if you ask me, I haven't been signaled to be long yet, so I'm not going to go long. So I put a little bearish move on there. Yay, it's made money. Cool. That's always good. Not life-changing money, about enough to go buy a Snickers bar. Now that those are, cost more than my car. Dude, the other day I was at the airport and I got, which after that I'm 100% like packing food every time just because it's so ridiculous. I almost like refuse. But I got a bottle of water and a pack of Starburst and it was $13. I'm like, I've never felt more scammed in my entire life. Hey, look at the short. Wee, yahoo. Good job, team. Yippee. Wahoo. Yeah. Don't you just love when things actually go kind of as planned? That's always a good thing. Speaking of, I'm not even really putting a whole lot of thought into what I'm doing right now. I'm just looking at a screen laughing, but let me actually use my brain a little bit more. Settings, low. So we actually already hit the 30-minute volume weighted average price. So if we can start taking that out, we'll start to scare some of the people that have been buying long pre-market. Might be able to take this down. I'm just saying, if we can actually take out 685s here on the SPY, might start to cause some people from pre-market buying the dip to start, I don't want to say panicking, but getting more nervous, because then I think they're starting to come to the realization that they're not right. But, you know, let's check the QQQ. QQQ is below its VWAP, so that's already got a little bit of selling due to that VWAP pressure break. So yeah, you know, same old, same old. Just market's not in a buy move, so there's no reason to go long quite yet. And we're right at the start point of where it can be the continuation of a short, or obviously the flippening of the market. For real, dude, airport prices are insane. You know, it's like, now granted, it's, you know, I mean, it just, I don't know, it was a shock. I'm like, a water bottle and a pack of Starburst. Really? That's $13. I'm like, holy smokes, you know. Like, I'm okay spending some money, but I'm not okay getting bent over with no Diddy oil, you know what I mean? Yeah, so again, just riding the short down. Not a whole lot to say, guys. Market's not bullish, right? Yeah. I'm sorry if I've been trying to put like a little sticker. I actually haven't done it yet, but I've been thinking I need to put a sticker like literally right in front of my computer. It says humble. I need to be a little more humble, because, you know, I feel like sometimes I'm just basically a jackass on stream, because, you know, I'm like, oh, there's nothing else to say. But it's like, you know, when you watch the computer every single day of your life for so many years, I mean, it's like there really isn't a whole lot to say. Initially, the market seems like rocket science, and then, you know, after so many years, it just becomes like literally it can either go up or down, right? Find out areas you like that's it, you know. It's hard for me to sit in front of the computer and be like super excited, and it's just, you just gotta stay calm, and that's all it is. It's just either market go up or market's going to go down. Left a message. Thanks, Walt. I'll get to that. No problem, my guy. No problem, my guy. Also, so if we take a look at silver, I mean, man, oh man, silver really topped out. Remember when we said, hey guys, silver is getting ready to top, and then, oh damn, it went down almost 40%. See, that's what I'm talking about. No one cares what I say. You know, it's like, yeah, market, whatever, you know, silver topped in $109 and it's down $30. Easy peasy, right? But yeah, that was crazy. So gold putting in a little bit of a lower, gold and silver, they ran up to +3, +4 standard deviation. Those things have an exhaustion top. They need time to digest. So we'll see. And you guys know, for any of you guys that have followed me for some years, you guys know I've been long gold and silver for like 8, 9, I don't even know how many years now. I just liquidated tons of gold and silver. Silver's now only makes up probably like 10% of my portfolio. Or sorry, precious metals. Maybe only makes 10% of like my total portfolios. So I liquidated a ton. I'm gonna feel like a really dumb person if they just go on an absolute mega super cycle ripper. But you never know. right? And I made a lot of money, a lot of money. So I decided to take a lot of that money and reallocate it in other places. Am I going to be right? I have no idea. Am I going to be wrong? I have no idea. But at the time, when silver was trading up into $100, pretty much I was taking silver off at 70, 80, 90, 100. I just kept piecing it off the entire move up into the +3, +4 sigma, knowing that we would probably top there, and that it would either be a temporary top that we saw that leads to a long-term top, or it's a temporary top that needs time to digest, and then it turns into a big long later, which if it does, I still own some, not like I did. But yeah, I used a lot of the returns that I made from the precious metals markets and basically used that to go debt-free on a real estate property so that that property then became 100% cash flow. So I basically took, a precious metals asset and the returns on that, paid down debt, which then saved me 7% on the debt. So that gain then turned into a bigger gain due to forced savings that then turned the property to 100% cash flowing rental. So you can see it's not that it was a bad choice. It's just, it's one of those things when you look back later and you're like, oh, damn, silver's up even more. It's like, which one was the better play? Granted, I think what I did was the best play for me at the time, which was reducing liabilities and increasing cash flow. And then that cash flow could then be used to buy more gold and silver if I wanted to anyway. So I think it really was the right choice for me in that instance. I trade a little bit of everything. A lot of times I'll be trading some equities. I'll be trading. I'll trade options every once in a while. I'll trade futures every once in a while, and I'll trade equities. And pretty much all the strategy that you, well, that's not entirely true, but pretty much what I'm teaching you, what I just showed you on the NASDAQ, while I was short the NASDAQ, you could have been shorting. Literally, the futures market follows the ETFs unless it's pre-market. Well, that's not entirely true. But realistically, if you want to trade futures, everything that we're doing on the stream, you could use your futures for, right? So it's just because I'm not buying a futures contract specifically on the stream, or you may not see it, doesn't mean that what we're mentioning you can't, right? Like right there, if you go look at MNQ or you go look at the futures market, they're going to be going down just like the NASDAQ right now. So, pick your poison, however you want to do it. I haven't been as good with futures, and I think it's just partly because of the leverage aspect. I've always grown up a more conservative person in the sense of, saving and money and investing, and then, somehow over the years, just as I get a little older, it's harder for me to manage that emotion with as much leverage. I tend to do better with less leverage. So, everyone's got their thing. I wish I was better with futures, but it just seems that I don't tend to hold my plays the way that I probably should when I'm dealing with more leverage. Now, I hope that I can kind of get back to where I was when I was younger and I just had balls of steels and I just threw around a bunch of money. But it just hasn't been that way for the past few years, and that's okay. So, maybe one day I'll grow that, more of an iron emotion where I can handle the leverage better. But, yeah, so that's the same thing with options, and I was actually going to take the market long with some options overnight targeting 686, but then I'm like, they're just going to scam me, right? They're going to run it up to 686 and then we're going to dump it, probably before the open. And if I do, then my option's not going to make money. So then I decided to take equity overnight, right? So I went long equity knowing that they would probably try to scam the options market off of 686. So that's another one, right? Where it's like, I want, for example, I even posted on YouTube. I'm like, we're targeting 686. I'll go here to YouTube. It's like where is that? I don't know. There's this SPY. It looks to be targeting 680 algos 18 hours ago, right? So I'm going along the market to 686. I wanted to take some options on it, but then I'm like, if it doesn't go to 686 during the day, or they don't open the market at 686 tomorrow or slightly above it, and I buy these options, then it's kind of a pointless trade, and I could get scammed to the downside and then lose. I'm like, or I just buy the equity, go with less return, and I get to manage it through the pre-market. So for me, that was kind of like, the decision. That was a deciding factor between options or equity. Was what were they going to scam me or not scam me? Or, well, were they going to scam me? Yeah, they were always going to scam me. But was I going to beat the scam? Yeah, I was going to beat the scam by equity, right? So that was a decision I had to make yesterday when targeting $686. So yeah, that's that. So hopefully that makes sense. So sometimes that would be a deciding factor of, a play is, pre-market, after hours, will I have the opportunity to manage the trade? I would manage it how I'd like. Also, guys, if you look at the volatility index is now, not that this really matters a whole lot, but we'll bring this up here. So, right, guys, look at the volatility index. We know that volatility started breaking out sometimes last week. That's why your market's pulled back. I know it's super confusing, but not really. And then just yesterday, we pulled the volatility market back to the 50 SMA. So, like we just said, you know how we were just talking about how the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, they're right at the level today to dictate either continuation down or a new move up. Generally, when that happens, the VIX will be positioned accordingly. So look at see how the market on the VIX broke out, right? And then just yesterday, it pulled back where? To the 50 SMA. So at the end of day yesterday, and then going into this morning pre-market, the volatility index had the decision. And does have the decision to make. Does the volatility market want to enter a downtrend and fear starts to go away in the market? If so, we would break the market out, right? So you can kind of see how the market always positions itself accordingly, right? We brought the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 to their deciding algorithm price point this morning. Simultaneously, the fear index sells off yesterday into this morning to the same level. Its algorithmic level that's going to decide if it wants to stay into an uptrend or enter a downtrend. So if VIX stays in an uptrend, fear stays elevated. Market doesn't go up. If fear breaks down, fear gets removed from the market, market goes up. So you can see how we price the VIX and the market at the exact same algorithmic level to flip markets or continue markets. Hence, VIX go down, market go up. VIX go up, market go down. Put both of them on the level with the same exact meaning, right? So that's what we did. We brought the VIX down to support. We brought the markets back up to resistance. So far, what happened? The VIX has decided, zoom out a little bit, the VIX, right? So look at the VIX broke down, back to, now at. So until the VIX fully breaks down this level, the markets are not going to blast off into a long. And if the VIX maintains this level, we will see the continuation of the short. So look at, you see how the market, look at the SPY, you see how it's rolling down? Not that it's a perfect one-to-one, but the VIX, look at the VIX. The VIX is not breaking down, right? Like we said, if you want this market today and when it was at the pre-market high and whatever, just in general, right, if we want to see the markets break up and go up today, then you're going to need the VIX to break down. Right now, the VIX is still positive. The VIX just moved back to positive a few minutes ago. Therefore, the volatility index is confirming bearish still on the market. Therefore, the volatility index has not confirmed buy long the markets yet. There is no confirmation we are supposed to be swing long the markets yet, right? So therefore, when we wake up today, we're going to stay what? We're going to stay on the bearish side. Why? Because literally the markets aren't telling us. It's not me telling you through a YouTube stream. It's the market telling me, and I'm just relaying the information to you. All right, and all of the stuff I'm looking at, you can look at, right? I'm not doing anything other than using my eyes, looking at one moving average on a couple different markets and going, oh, it's above, then we're not bullish, right? So it's really simple in nature. Granted, I've been looking at this system and using what you're seeing for years straight. So it's taken me a long time to recognize it the way I do. But it's so simple that literally a child can learn it. It's literally, if the market's over, it's bullish. If it's below, bearish. And then from there, over the years, you learn the nuance, right? Oh man, talk about back is hurting. Yikes. Oh gosh. What a good stretch that was. All right. Well, yeah. That being said, I'm gonna be right back. I got some coffee I need to go get. So, yeah, I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, or do whatever you want to do. Excuse me. Okay, so pretty much what we're gonna do now is I'm just gonna start flipping through some. I'm just gonna double check our biggest gainers list and just see what I probably missed, and see if there's anything else that might be available. SNSE, what is this garbage? I don't even know. Nah, that's just too risky. That's not worth it. Yeah, that one kind of worked. Oh, snap. What do you know? Gotta love it. Gotta love it. What a scam. Gosh, you gotta hate the market sometimes. Yeah, I've had buy orders out for BENF at 460, and they obviously don't want to give me the fill, so they bounce it at 470. Typical scam. But anyways, we just saw BENF trade down to 470. As you guys know, we were targeting a sell-off on BENF down to 460. So, I mean, pretty much, I would say pretty much job well done there. Not bad, not bad. But anyways. Yo, what up, Corey? Good morning. Good morning to you, sir. CDIO. What is this? I don't even know. Nothing. JAGX. Nothing. Actually, that kind of started moving. 20,000 shares. That's low liquidity. 4 hours pause though. Could actually kind of work. Again, I still have a small position on short with the market here. I took a little bit of profit on the way down, and now I'm just kind of holding what I feel comfortable with holding. So if the market ends up staying bearish all day long, you know, and I hold it, then, you know, that's cool. I'll have something on it. But yeah, that's that. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Am I forgetting anything today? Oh gosh. We're putting some windows in at a property. I know they're doing the install today. So I'm waiting on that phone call. Waiting on that call. Is that a reverse head and shoulders? If you're talking about the SPY, well, it's either an inverse head and shoulders or a head and shoulders. So if you're saying reverse, I'm assuming you mean this way. And yeah, you may see it that way, and arguably that could be true. It's what it kind of looks like. But I myself don't use patterns like that anymore, if you will. I was taught the market, and that's how you should look at markets. And that's generally the, it's not that they don't work, and it's not that there isn't merit. But yeah, so this would be considered an inverse head and shoulders to some degree. But yeah, it's an inverse head and shoulders looking pattern into algorithmic levels that dictate uptrends and downtrends. So it's not, yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, you might be looking at an inverse head and shoulders and you've been taught that that's bullish, but is an inverse head and shoulders pattern bullish when we control the price of the market on SMA calculation, which can dictate this is the continuation of a downtrend, all right? So we're gonna find out today, arguably, right? Because you just asked, is this an inverse head and shoulder? And yes, to a degree it is. And I'm sorry, I have so much knowledge in my brain. I try to make things simple. I talk a lot, I apologize, but this is where our algorithmic SMA calculation's at, and that dictates either continuations of downtrends or the start of a market maker change, and that would be a move to the upside. If the market makers want to change structure of the market and flip markets and algorithms to the long side, then the hindsight 2020 would end up, yes, it would look like this was an inverse head and shoulder and it worked out. It's not the inverse head and shoulders that made it work. It's the market and the programs and the market makers being willing to move the markets into positive trending territory, programs, algorithms, pressure up. If so, it will then look like your inverse head and shoulders was true. But to me, it's just the markets wanting to enter buying programs. And as a result, the price action that came before has appeared in the formation of an inverse head and shoulders. Simultaneously, the market makers could say, we don't want to change structure of the market to positive, and we're going to keep it in a downtrend. And then there goes your head and shoulders formation, and then some other person on the internet's going to be like, see, it was a bear flag, right? So I don't particularly look at patterns as, kind of what's going to bring us home, if you will. We look at the trend of the markets. And a lot of times what you will see is you'll see these patterns form up, right? So real quick, I'm going to show you what I mean a little bit more. Do you ever buy back to the 50 SMA? Yes, I did that yesterday, actually. I'm assuming what you mean is like a mean reversion. So yeah, buying back to the 50 SMA. Do I ever go from an oversold market, buy it, try to take it back to the 50 SMA? Yes, there are times when I do that. I did that yesterday. And that was this post here 18 hours ago. If you see on the bottom left with my cursor, SPY looks to be targeting 686 algo. You can see overnight we jumped up to even as high as 687. So yesterday I was planning and doing a long trade up to 686, right? So Mr. Colo 2344. I don't know if you're familiar with some of the stuff we kind of preach on the internet, but this is what I was talking about, right? So real quick, this is the trend I'm following, right? So we look at the 30-minute S&P 500. We just pretty much use this on many things, but ultimately you have the 30-minute. So here's your breakdown. And today the market is simply coming back to the SMA calculation. If we get above, then we can transition the market up, and then what's going to happen is your inverse head and shoulders pattern will look correct. All right. If we choose to keep the markets in a downtrend, then ultimately what the market would end up looking is like something like that, right? And therefore your inverse head and shoulders pattern will not look legit. So it's less of the pattern, more of how do we shift and move markets in and out of downtrends, and whatever price action came before will help make, whatever it'll help you think, there's a pattern there or something like that. All right. Yeah. So that's that. So if we kind of dial this in a little bit more, let's go back over to, let's go to the regular trading hours here. I'm going to delete all this junk real quick. All right. So let's just go back to this, and that's it. That blue line, that's the 50 SMA that we're talking about. All right. So we go into the extended trading hours, and that's where we're priced at this morning. So this here is our algo. We'll just call it the algo level. All right. Algo level. And yeah, and then we just add a little bit more. Above, bullish, below, bearish, and that's the literally the basic, most fundamental, easy way of understanding it. That's the algo level, right? So yesterday when I was talking about taking the market long up 686, that was because I was looking for a back test of the 50 SMA, and then if correct, we would wake up today. And then we would get to have the playing game. Are we going to flip markets positive, or are we going to keep markets bearish? Don't know. We'll see. So far, we've been lean bearish this morning. All right, we've been lean bearish because we noticed the market come up, fail to hold above, break back low, back test, down. Right. So we've been leaned a little bearish this morning in the short terms because the short terms still don't provide any confirmation we're supposed to be going up fully. Right. So yeah, that's that. So that's how you're going to see markets form up a lot of times. And so to answer that other question, Steph, about do I ever buy back to the 50 SMA? Yes, I do, which kind of just, I want to kind of run through this real quick, which leads me back to this discussion, which I'm basically now saying that the markets, for me, I think I'm starting to teach the markets when it comes to this sort of system. Obviously I teach standard deviation too a little bit when people ask questions. There's a bunch of stuff I talk about and teach. But as it relates to this, I have come up with what I think is an easy way of teaching it, which is I think there's 4 stages. All right, 4 stages. There's really 2, but they repeat on the long side and the short side. So really it's only 2. Well, I guess, but 4 phases, whatever. So we're going to do like this. We'll use this one. So this will be phase 1. All right. This would be, well, however you want to say it, this would be phase 2. this would be phase 3. Is that right? Hold on. Yeah, kind of, and then this would be like phase 4 right here. Okay. And so you would just, we'll just label these real quick, right? So this would be breakdown. Okay. That would be, that's phase 1 would be the breakdown, which I didn't spell correctly, you know, breakdown. This would be, whether you want to call it oversold bounce, whether you want to call it reversal, mean reversion, pull back to trend, etc. That's that. That would be phase 2. And then it just repeats. So now you're on the long side, and this would be the breakout. Okay. So this one would be the breakout right there. All right. So that would be breakout. This would be breakdown. Okay. This would be oversold bounce, reversal back to trend, and then this here would be the same thing. This would be oversold or oversold, overbought, you know, pull back, reset back to trend. All right. And then maybe phase 5 in here. Maybe, yeah, we should have a phase 5. And then phase 5 would be once the market pulls back to trend, phase 5 is really, it becomes the decision game. New breakdown or continuation of current long. And that is what you basically go through every single week in the market. Is you go from well, not every single week, but you get the point. As the market and the structure, and we change the markets, it goes from breakdowns to breakouts, oversold bounces to, you know, overbought pullbacks, to are we going to continue trend to not continue trend. And today we are in perfect. That's what I should do. I should teach these in phases, create a document, put the document in the links of our videos, and when anyone has questions, I go read this document, learn the phases of the market, and then you can come into our stream and I just tell you what phase we're at. And then from there you can basically figure out, and I don't have to talk for days. That's what I'm going to do. So right now we're in phase 5 today, arguably. The decision-making day. Continuation down or change trend up. Okay, so now that we've gone through the phases, and all of you guys know the phases, where are we at today with the market? We are right at the 50 SMA, right? So this would be phase 6, phase 5. What am I saying? So yeah, we could just put phase 5, the decision day, stay bearish, below trend, below 50 SMA, or change market positive over 50 SMA, etc. Right. Just to be clear, just to clarify, when a candle breaks above the 50 SMA, we look for confirmation by going to the lower time frame 5 minute. Yes, to answer your question, yes. There are all sorts of indicators, different time frames, different approaches for doing your best at, you know, confirming the market wants to go long or go short. Momentum. So basically for confirmation, there's only so many things you can pick. And generally confirmation equals momentum-based indicators, right? Or some people look for market structure, higher lows. Some may look for, in like my case, we look for an uptrend over the 30 minute. Some may look for, is the market over the 30 minute, you know, 50 SMA, is it over the 1 minute, etc. You know, I look, is it above VWAPs? And so whatever works best for you for confirming that a move is true, use that. There are tons of them, whether it be MACD, RSI, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on. So whatever that looks like for you. For me, it could be it could be the volatility index, right? I could be looking at the market going over the 50 SMA, but I see that the volatility index is going up. That doesn't make sense. So that's one way that I confirm moves at times. I look at the volatility and I say, is volatility confirming the thoughts of the market? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes it's just the way the candles look, how fast they're moving, how slow they're moving. Sometimes if the market is going into the 50 SMA, but it's come from an extremely oversold bounce, and the bounce has just been going straight up for forever into the 50 SMA, I would be more likely to say this isn't the time to get long because it needs to pull back, right? So I think there was an example of that one not too long ago. Yeah, like right here, right? Like this is one, right? So like think of this one. Well, this isn't a perfect example, excuse me, but like right here. See how just a big down move, right? And then it goes all the way up and it gets over the 50 SMA, right? So the basic rules would say over the 50 SMA, you're long, under you're short, right? So someone could take the basic concepts and go, oh, we're over the 50, so I go long. True, but what about things like market structure and candle structure, right? The basics of candle structure would be this is, just straight down and pretty much straight up with no real pullback to set up a higher low. So you must ask yourself, if the market goes down this much, then pretty much goes straight up without really any corrective sort of pullback along the way, right into the simple moving average that can dictate market structure change, should you really be going long at the top of this move without any degree of a pullback? Sometimes maybe, but many times no, right? So that's how one way I could confirm that I'm not going to go long over the 50 in that moment because it's just, there's no pullback, right? And then not to mention, think about it, if this is the breakdown, this would be the first back test of the trend to try to confirm, does it want to stay in a downtrend or maybe flip up, right? So that's another thing is when things break out. So let's just take a basic pattern, chart pattern, break it out, right? And then there's your back test. On the back test, do you look to break it down right away or do you look to take it opposite? On a back test, you look to continue in the same direction, right? So you can use that for kind of confirming your ideas. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. You got to kind of figure out what you like. I don't use MACD very well. Like I've tried to use MACD and I use it on market internals. I like it on market internals, but like my buddy Brandon is so much better at reading like MACD and momentum that way than I am. I'm really more of just like looking at the chart, understanding my levels, looking at the VIX and just basically sitting and thinking. That's where I feel like I didn't look at momentum today to basically say the market was going to go down. I didn't look at RSI once. I didn't look at MACD once. I haven't read any news article today. I've only had one cup of coffee. I did do some stretches this morning. I was able to touch my toes. That was good. But yeah, I didn't look at RSI. I didn't look at momentum. So that was probably a long-winded explanation. That's what I always tend to do. I have extreme ADD, if you will. And I think that's why I enjoy the market so much, and I enjoy analysis and being very analytical. Is my brain seeks dopamine a lot for sure. And so the market is one thing that gives me that constant dopamine that my brain really feeds on. I don't do well when it's just like my brain just needs that constant something. And so the market is that for me, right? There's always kind of something going on, something moving, something to learn. And it's challenging. It's not easy. It's a challenge. And I think that's where the enjoyment actually comes from that we all, I think for all of us, that's really the enjoyment of it actually. It's the challenge. It's the grind, right? It's the uncertainty that arguably makes it more fun when you sit here and you watch markets. So yeah. So something that I do. So I'll teach you one strategy here. So this is something that I always look for. This is for short-term trading. Like this is more of like a day trade kind of play that you can use with futures. It can work well. So hold on, I have to go back to. I have to go back to this day. What time is it? 9:21. All right, we got a few minutes. So for the 4 of you guys here, you're going to learn a 1-minute volume weighted average price day trading strategy that can lead to swing trades, but it's more for like a day trade kind of thing. And if things work out well, you can move it into a swing. But this is so yeah, we're gonna learn a 1 and a 5-minute volume weighted average price day trading strategy built off of the 30-minute 50 SMA strategy. So this is kind of 2 strategies in one, but it starts with the 50 SMA breakdown. All right, so this may not be the best example, but it'll prove the point, right? So the other day, this is where the market broke down the 50 SMA. So this would be your 50 SMA breakdown. Okay, so that means the market is bearish. Market is bearish. And then I like to think, right? So anyway, so the market is bearish. And without getting too conspiratorial, right, and without putting our tinfoil hats on here, we're just going to say that that's where the market breaks down. And all we're going to do is we're going to take volume weighted average prices and we're going to track the participation of that breakdown. If it's a legitimate, halfway decent breakdown, at some point the market will most likely retest this 1-minute and or 5-minute VWAP, and it will provide a short trade in the direction of the breakdown. All right, so we're going to anchor a VWAP, all right, just like that, at the breakdown. And essentially, that's the point right there. There you have it. That was your breakdown, and it was a really nasty one. It went just straight down, and it took a while for the bottom to consolidate and retrace back to the volume weighted average price of the breakdown, and there's your short, right? So that is a play that I look for on both the long side and the short side, specifically, and I could write this in a document. So this is literally a trade setup that repeats consistently in the market to some degree. When I say consistently, they never look the same. They rhyme. In hindsight 2020, they all pretty much do the same thing. They either backtest VWAP, go down, or backtest VWAP, have a little move and fail. There's nuances, but pretty much it's the same thing, right? So we use that on both long days and short days, but specifically on the day that it breaks down or breaks out the 50 SMA. That's the only day you use this strategy, because you're using a 1 and a 5-minute VWAP on the specific day that the market either breaks out or breaks down. Okay, so that's an intraday day trading strategy for the specific day. There's a breakout or a breakdown, 1-minute, 5-minute VWAP, trade in the direction of the trend. Boom, there you go. There's one strategy you can follow probably for the end of your life. I've been using that one for years now. I'm not saying, and by no means am I like the most profitable trader. I've had profitable years, unprofitable years, etc. 10 years in the game, 11 years, I don't even know. You kind of lose track. So it's not like I'm sitting here preaching to you guys that I'm a millionaire trader. No, I've had really good years, some really bad years. All said and done, over the course of my life, I've done okay investing. I've made money. It's nothing to go buy Lamborghinis and Ferraris with, but it's enough that I've been able to help grow some real estate. And so just in general, the way that I view the markets these days is significantly different than I used to. And I view trading a little bit different than I used to. So I look at investing as a whole, which I kind of always have, but more so now, right? Investing is just one big game, from trading to long-term to real estate to anything you do. It's just investing, right? And we don't want to be too heavily invested in the high risk, because then you can blow up, right? So it's all about nice base and foundation, core, and then you can play with some risk at the top. And so that's kind of where I deal with now in trading a lot of the short-term stuff is I don't put on as much risk as I used to when I was younger. And I don't put on so much risk that I know I'm going to make a bunch of money or lose a bunch of money. I put on just risk to hopefully pad and add some to my long-term portfolio at this point. My mindset has gone from being, this millionaire rich trader, almost got there, then kind of fell off, if you will. So it's kind of dialed back to just steady, just keep it, relatively consistent, don't take too much risk, and just try to be able to make some money, add it to some of the long terms, maybe pay down some debt on some of the real estate, because real estate's always going to be there. So it's just day trading, some swing trading. That's just, at this point, it's a very limited fraction of what I'm trying to do behind the scenes with long-term investing and real estate growth and all that. So it's just one little piece of the pyramid of investing, right? So that's one strategy that you can use. It comes around here and then, but it has to be that specific day. You know what? I'm gonna give this company a call. They're supposed to be installing some windows. I haven't heard from them, and I'm not meeting them at the property. I just got them a lockbox code, and so. But anyways, let me just 1 second. Just an FYI, guys. Still bearish market. Still got some position on bearish.
And what's the address of the
Okay, well, that did not go as I was hoping. Oh, shoot. Amazon turned into a long. Nikes. All right, so Amazon is kind of doing something, I think. Can maybe watch Amazon a little long. Well, I mean, the thing is, Amazon already kind of started popping up long. The 4-hour trend's up at like 204.43. I mean, like I said, like we talked about, Amazon was kind of a little bit of a long one earlier today. But as I'm looking through some of the Magnificent Sevens, I'm trying to see if, really any of them are turning into longs. The only one that might be right now is like Amazon and Nvidia. See, but the thing too is Amazon's long target on kind of like the short term is really only up to like as high as 204.35. If it was really going to turn into a nice long press, it's going to need over 205.35 or 204.42. Pretty much today's pre-market high on Amazon is the 4-hour resistance trend. So it pretty much just means that algorithmically, we've already done the long on Amazon from the 30-minute to the 4-hour. So now the 4-hour would have to break out for Amazon to really turn into a good long. But yeah, I would like to see Amazon up and over 204.43, turn into a nice long. That would be cool. That being said, the market is still on negative territory. So we're seeing Amazon kind of buck the trend, right? Most of the market is still somewhat downsided, but Amazon's moving long. So that's kind of interesting, right? Why is Amazon turning to a positive market structure this morning while the rest of the market's bearish? It could be a false long, or it can be an indication that Amazon has some strength, right, or more strength than the rest of the market. It's moving ahead of the pack right now. So we're watching long Amazon for the moment, because obviously if we look at the Magnificent Seven tickers, the only ones above in positive trend right now are Amazon and Nvidia. So yeah, so that's that. So Amazon just got up to the 204.42 price. If we're lucky, it breaks out and goes, but the more likely event is this is going to be a little bit of a resistance point, I think, because that's just normally, how those things are going to work. What else do we have here? Nvidia, that's right. Nvidia. So Nvidia's positive trend, but the issue is there an issue? I mean, it's over. But the question is it going to go for a back test? See, if Nvidia doesn't just break out and keep going, it's gonna back test down to the price of 186.84. So the shorts right now on Nvidia are targeting 186.84, 186.86. In 186.86 is where it's hard to say, because I don't really care to be long Nvidia yet with the market being bearish, and it looks like Nvidia wants to back test down to 186.70s or so. So I couldn't really get long Nvidia here because it just looks like we're going to go into a short move and target that price I just said. And like I said, the market's still bearish, so it's not the best idea to be going long equity or long stocks generally when markets are bearish, right? So it's, like I said, we're looking for things, but you got to understand the market is currently bearish and it's not in a buying trend. So going long equities is always a little harder. So I still have a small short on the market. I'm debating if I should be buying Nvidia. I still like Amazon. Amazon's doing good. Amazon's the only Magnificent Seven stock right now that's positive trend with a green candle. What about our biggest gainers here? Anything popping off there? So now I'm going to start looking through some of the biggest gainers and see if I can start finding something that I missed earlier or anything that looks somewhat decent that still has room to go. Wing, no. GLBE, no. All right, market's picking up a little bit more there. I kind of think the market might try to go for I'm debating if the market wants to do a live back test of the 50 SMA. That's what I keep thinking about. I'm like, I think the market wants to go up back to the 50 SMA, but it looks terrible. And if that's the case, that means the market's going to target up to 685. So this would be the target right there. That would be the target of the market, up to 685.30s. It just doesn't look good, though. It just looks shady. You know? So as we mentioned, like Amazon looks good. It had the target up to wherever I said. It doesn't. I say a bunch of stuff, but remember, like whenever the 30-minute breaks out, it normally targets the 4-hour. So that's why I mentioned that Amazon was pretty much going to be going to like whatever I said. What is that price? 204.42 or something like that. Where's Amazon? So if I bring up, it may not be perfect here on this guy. Oh wait, what am I doing? Regular trading hours, So I'll show you real quick. So Amazon, right? So this is what I was talking about, Amazon, right? Look at Amazon is over. Look at that. See how we broke up and over? So yeah, that's why we're looking long Amazon and all that stuff right now, because it's the only Magnificent Seven stock that's positive besides Nvidia, right? So it's like, okay, there's some strength here, right? So this is good for a long. And if you want, you can basically, you could be stops below 200 or stops below 199. You got $5 risk down, and arguably this, if the market goes into a buy move, who knows? This could turn into a swing long, all that stuff. But anyways, bottom line is, you can see that Amazon broke over trend, so that's why we were focused on Amazon other than other ones, right? Doesn't make sense. Other ones are looking like crappy. Hold on, I got a phone call coming. All right, sorry about that. I am back. I am back. Busy, busy. What can I say? What can I say? Alrighty. It looks like Nvidia's doing okay. All right. Amazon. Oh yeah, I was trying to show you what I was talking about with Amazon a second ago. So for whatever reason, TradingView is just weird sometimes. I don't know, their SMA calculations get a little goofy, but ultimately, if we were to bring up our handy dandy Amazon, all right, if you go look at Amazon real quick, this is a trade setup that I pretty much look for all the time. All right, so this is, all right, so see how market is below the 30-minute, and then it gets over the 30-minute, and there's your long. I don't know if Colo is still here, but so now you guys can see, like, look at, right? So remember how we're talking about like patterns and formations, right? So if you kind of think about like this would be like sort of a down and maybe like an inverse head and shoulders happening down here, comes into it, and then you can kind of see like there's a flag pattern right there at the 50 SMA, wedge, break, etc., etc., etc. But ultimately, to keep it more simple, all I'm saying is a common trade, like a day trade, that we see on a lot of things is we see a move that breaks out the 30-minute here on the regular trading hours, and then it transitions to the extended trading hour. Sorry. The trade is from the regular trading hours 30-minute breakout to the 4-hour extended trading hours 50. So that's the setup right there. So that's a sort of a little long play that we look for, and it works really, really well. So you'll break out the 30-minute, there's your back test, whatever, and then it goes to the 4-hour, right? So a little bit ago when you heard me talking about Amazon, I'm like, yeah, it can probably go up to the price of like 204.40s. That's because that is the algorithm calculation that the market is currently using, right? You can see we took the market over the 30-minute, then we took it long all the way to the 4-hour. Pulled it back, whatever. Oh my gosh, thank you. Pulled it back, whatever. And now the market runs long to 204.40, as I mentioned. And only if we get over 204.40-ish is it going to turn into a new long, right? So we've completed that long, right? That is the program, right? It's programming. Computers say market over 30-minute positive, go long, move markets to next algorithmic calculation above, they could still be down, right? Because if you look at it, if we go back to the 4-hour here on Amazon, all right, the 4-hour trend is still bearish, right? Correct. Look at this 4-hour trend, right? This 4-hour trend is what? Down. And there's its back test, right? So this would be the first back test of that SMA calculation to the downside for Amazon as it relates to that time frame. So any algorithms or programs that are following that system just got their reality check today, right? And we helped create the reality check by moving the markets upwards after breaking out this 30-minute here. I would never expect any of you guys to know that. No retail trader will ever, probably most will never learn that. That's why I'm here on YouTube. So, you know. So that's a program move we see all the time, and I'm always looking for. It's very common on penny stocks. Oh yeah, we like that. Like that's like 9 times out of 10 the trade we see on a penny stock too. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope that makes sense. Alrighty, now what? Yeah, I guess we'll move that back to where that was. Pop that bad boy back over there like that. And we're going to put that bad boy up there like that. We're going to take that like that. And we're going to do that. Alright, cool. Alright, so I'm going to keep going through the biggest gainers. I kind of got thrown off track there. Now I'm going to be looking... Come on, baby. Where are the plays? Where are the plays? GLB, that could be a play. Oh, damn. That was a nice move. That sucks. That's not. See, that's the problem. Is like I've tried to create scanners to pick up exactly what I'm looking for. You just get so many shitty false readings. It almost muddies up your thought. It's like you almost just need to manually do it. But I got to try to figure out a way to scan for my setups a little better. But every time I try to do it, I just never get it right. So I've kind of stopped trying. But maybe I got to give it the old good effort again, because it would make my life a lot easier if I could get scanners to read exactly what I'm looking for, but I haven't figured out how to do it. It's almost like they don't want me to. It would be too unfair at that point. That worked out well. Like I said, most times you're not going to have something where you need it. Stop, computer. Stop it. Oh, wait. There's our friend Netflix. Is it trying? Netflix is kind of like, it's there. It's not perfect, but how about Microsoft? Microsoft is still down, down, down. Yep, that's it. Okay. Ooh, I like that. I think. Do I? I think I do. Do I? I don't know how the day trade's going to work. It looks more like it's going to have to be a swing, if anything. Still lower low, no higher, no. I don't know. What should I do? It's kind of one of those. It looks good, though. It kind of looks good. Off a dip. Could be a decent swing long. I don't even know what this is. How the story normally goes. You have to get over 3, so it's 4. Don't know. I'm gonna sit on that one for a second. I need to get a piece of paper and a pen. Yeah, I was kind of looking at HYMC here. I mean, I kind of like it, to be honest. I don't know, it's got the look. I say that a lot of times, then stuff doesn't work. So it's not. It's kind of like it would just have to continue. It's not like it's at a breakout. We're late on that, so we're not at the break point, so we don't have that going for us. So it would just have to work. And part of me says it's going to have, if it's even going to work, it's going to have to be a swing trade. And I don't really know if I want to put my money on that one yet. So I'm just going to chill. Sometimes the best thing is to do nothing. RSI. I just haven't, I mean, there's decent ones. I just haven't found something that's just screaming straight at my face. Oh, by the way, the SPY just went up to our long target of the 50 SMA. So let me bring that up real quick. So remember how we're talking about the market going up to the 50 SMA in the regular trading hours? All right, so we're looking at this now. Oh, sorry. So as we said, the market could probably go up to basically where that SMA was at. If we start to get over, we might arguably start looking more long bias. But until then, obviously, we can't do that. We gotta go to the, those are the ones we gotta go to. See, that one's already kind of done it. Yeah, I kind of like this REPL. I'm kind of watching REPL over the price of 780. That might do something for us. Market's starting to move up a little bit here. Amazon's doing okay. Obviously, as we already mentioned, you should be focused there on Amazon. Nvidia, so right now I think we're looking at maybe, it just depends. If the market can start getting a buy signal, right? Amazon's probably going to continue. Nvidia and Netflix and Apple are the ones I would be focused on next. Again, REPL, as long as it's holding over $7.80, wait, yeah, 780. Yeah, as long as it's over 780, it's fine, and it's basically going to try to bounce. That's pretty much what's going on right now. Market's starting to get a little bit more positive there. We're still not seeing a whole lot of reaction, though, from Nvidia, Netflix, or Apple. Then again, the market hasn't done a ton there. All right, so let's just take another gander at this. All right, so that's the market trying to kind of flip positive. So basically, wait, hold on, let me think. Let me use my brain a little more here. Settings, low, high. All right, so we took that out, so that means we're going to do an upper distribution move. And if we do upper distribution, how much more room do we have to go? What the fuck? What am I doing? There we go. All right, so we do have a little bit more room up, arguably to 6,884. I'm going to add a little bit long on the market since we're getting over that 50 SMA. And I'm hoping we're going to see, let me just double check the SPY, because the SPY has things different. It's not the greatest. I can't say that I love the way it looks, and I think I could be early. I don't necessarily think the market's totally ready, so I took a little bit so that if I'm wrong, it's not going to be too painful. I got to double check the SPY here. Yeah, so if we do even get some decent push over the 50 SMA, we can arguably see the market on the SPY go up to $687.14. Granted, we're still going to have to get above these previous highs and pricing, right? But if we take those highs out, then we're going to go to $687.19. So objectively, what we'd like to see here is we'd like to see the S&P 500 stay positive over the 50 SMA, get a little bit of love, take out that previous high, squeeze the market up to $687. That would be, that'd be pretty ideal for sort of the day trade market scenario that I could see for the moment. Obviously, the flip side or the wrong side of that is that the market is going to obviously sell back down to the 50 SMA. Because you guys remember, right, the phases. Remember the phases of the market. The market goes into a breakdown below the 50 SMA. Then it does a reversal bounce back to the 50 SMA. That's what we've done today and through yesterday. So from yesterday to today, we've done the reversal bounce back to the 50 SMA. And now we started to cross above the 50 SMA. So either it's legit or it's not. That's it. So either this break above the 50 SMA is legit, and the market's going to start turning into a buy signal. And if it's not legit, then what's going to happen? It's going to go back down to the 50 SMA and then below the 50 SMA. So right now, we kind of already know the, oh shit, we're wrong scenario. It just means the price of the market goes back down to 685.24 in the short term, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us to a 1 minute. I'm going to put this up there. All right, so let's go to a 1 minute, right? So now we're on a 1 minute chart. Now that we're on a 1 minute and the market's starting to break out, let's start applying the 1 minute volume weighted average price as we discussed earlier. So now that we have and it could be a false break, anything could be false, anything could be just whatever. It's just the repeating of the process, right? So we have broken out over the 50 SMA. I'm now anchored a 1 minute volume weighted average price. I'll make this, I'll make this like, green or something different, yellow. Sure, we'll do yellow. So pretty much, the current pullback destinations for this breakout are right there. Like if the market doesn't just keep going, that's where the market wants to pull back to, where I drew that green box, right? If the market is going to have even like some degree of a decent long move up, this, like I said, that would be our target up. And as far as formation goes, we could still see something like this where the market pulls back to here, then gets held, and then goes up. So basically the two scenarios are like that to back to here and then false breakout down. I don't want to bore you guys all to death, but just remember the phases of the market. Markets go from breakdowns, reversal bottoms, back to the SMA trend, then they break out of the SMA trend and they go into buy signals, right? Or if it's not a buy signal, it's a false move and it cut, right? But those are the transitions. So right now we're transitioning above. So I just bought long, right? Now you might be saying to yourself, well, Connor, why didn't you buy long earlier? Well, remember, yesterday I did. Remember I said we were targeting $686, so we were long overnight to here. But since the market wasn't quite over the SMA, we couldn't be long biased, so then we went short and we took the markets down or whatever, right? And then the markets got bought up again, and now we're crossing over. Now I'm going long, right? So, anyways, we're targeting up $687 in the market right now. There you go. Or like I said, like I try to be direct, right? And I hate doing the game of, well, it could do this, well, it could do that, but it can, right? Oh, snap, NVIDIA is finally getting some love. Like, should we take some NVIDIA? I mean, sure, I should have bought it already. I got to start something on NVIDIA. Let me check. Where to see market internals. Let's just double check. Yeah, but then again, I know it's going up because the market's going up and we're getting close to the price target on the market. So if I only go to 687 on the market and I buy NVIDIA, then NVIDIA's not going to go, but whatever. Whatever. I got long on the market. I don't have to buy every single thing. But, you know. Yeah, also, all the market internals are looking good. They're all moving positively. Netflix. Netflix doesn't look... I gotta take some on Netflix. Netflix looks okay. It's not the best, but I'm buying some Netflix here because it just started flipping trend a little bit ago. So the risk is relatively limited. If the market does in fact go into a buy signal, I'm buying Netflix at a pretty good spot. I feel like I should have already bought NVIDIA. I took a little Amazon earlier. Also, the market just got up to our price target there, so I'm going to shave a little bit of the long that I took on the market because I know that the market has just met my target there for the moment. So I did take some profit on the long trade there with the market. As we said, we broke over the price of $685.28. We would target up to about $687.13, 12 cents, etc. We just did that. I'm not saying that's going to be a top. I just know that in terms of short-term market structure and trading, that was something that was relatively achievable. Now, does the market want to go higher? It could. Will it? Don't know. Is it? Maybe. Don't care, right? I just could for sure see that was going to happen. Now I still have some on long the market. I'm just holding swing long now. Swing long in the hopes that, right, because hope's a good strategy, in the hopes that we don't go back below and this is in fact a legit breakout. And the markets turn into a long bias structure, whether it be for the remainder of the day, whether it be going into tomorrow, whether it be for 2 weeks, whether it be for an hour, don't know. But currently I'm positioned long in the market now, already did day trade. Now I have a swing trade on and I'm hoping that swing trade develops. I don't control the market. I'm just hoping we go into a buy signal. Now, something we'd also like to see right now is we would like to see that the volatility index is, where's the volatility index? There it is. All right, so we want to see that I don't know why this chart always stays on top of my other stuff, but whatever. All right, so now we want to see that the volatility index is breaking down. So remember I said earlier, if volatility leaves the markets go up. So if we look, right, what did we just see regarding the frickin' VIX? Well, I'll just tell you, the VIX is breaking down, right? So right now we're seeing some fear is leaving the market, right? So that's why we flipped back long here on the market to a degree. Right, if I zoom in, see how the VIX broke down? Right, so the VIX is breaking down, market is breaking out, fear is leaving the market, longs are going back in, right? So earlier when I told you, we just listen to what the market in the system is telling us. it's not me making up things to tell to you. It's really just me reading and listening to what the market tells me, and then me relaying the information to you. That's all we're doing here. All right. So VIX in fear is breaking down. Its fear is being removed from the market. Optimism is coming. See how happy I am? Optimism is coming back. We're happy, right? Markets are going up. 401ks are going up, right? Economy, money, greed, yay. Right? So that's what happens. When fear goes out, we get optimistic again, and we start putting money in the market, right? Markets don't go up unless liquidity comes in. They just got my account to buy in, right? Maybe some of yours, right? So when liquidity and optimism come back, markets go up, fear goes away. This is what you're seeing in real time. I'm teaching you in real time how you read the market and understand fear, right? And why and when, right? The moment happens. You have to sit here and you have to read it like a book every day. Maybe not every day, but you have to sit and it first starts with knowing where to watch. Then you just keep watching and keep watching and keep learning and keep watching and keep watching and keep watching and learning the nuances. And then hopefully one day it'll kind of click like it did for me. That being said, if it super duper clicked, maybe I'd be driving a Ferrari. But I don't have those balls anymore. So I just do what I can. But like we said, so far, we have been able to accurately predict the largest globally traded ETF in the entire world. That's something to be proud of, guys. You should be very proud of yourselves. All right, so far the market has not back tested the 50 SMA after the breakout, and it has not back tested the volume weighted average price of the breakout, which basically tells me that at some point we're still going to be trading back down into that green box. It will I guarantee it is going to hit that 1 minute VWAP. At some point, it's going to happen. Sooner or later. It's just what the market does. The Netflix trade is working out pretty decent so far. We're up about $1 on that position, so I can take money if I want, or I can not take money. I have the option. I know that the market could be doing a little bit of a pulley-magoo as we come up. So let's see. What do I want to do? I am kind of a Sally all the time. I always love to take money. I tend to take money a little too early at times, but whatever. So I'm going to take a little monies on Netflix at $1 per share green, and now I'm going to hold the rest for a swing trade. And if this thing ends up blowing up over the next couple days, we bought at a pretty good spot. All right. What about the Nvidia? Oh, snap. Sorry, guys. Netflix with the straight pump-a-magoo. What is Amazon? Amazon. Nice. Gotta love it. Oh, yes, that's a great question. Thanks for reminding me. So here's a great rule for you. Colo2344 just asked this question. It's a great question. The VIX is breaking down. Where should we be looking for the VIX to bounce and reverse? How long do you think you have before the VIX reverses on you? Whenever the volatility market, VIX, breaks down the 30-minute, we then look to target down to the 1 hour. So let me bring that up for you guys, because it could have happened. I actually don't even know. I'm not paying close enough attention to the 1 hour right now, which that's a good question. I don't know why it's not on there. Glad you mentioned. Oh, so yeah, actually we just did it. We completed the target. So that means I'm actually going to take Should I? Nah, I don't care. I was going to take a little bit more off my long on the market because the market could actually do a little bit of a top here. So as I was just mentioning, when it comes to the VIX, whenever we break down the 30-minute, we look for the 1 hour. So look on the left, the very top left, guys. This is very important. I'm teaching you how you predict the VIX and where it's going to go before it happens, literally. See on the chart here on the left how we broke down the 30-minute start to sell off. Where did it go? Look at the chart on the right. Look at your 1 hour. There you go. That's it. So that's the first algorithmic programming kind of move we look for computers to do. Oh no. Holy, what? My YouTube stream is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. It looks like someone is starting to DDoS my internet once again. So what we're showing you here is the volatility market is breaking down the 30-minute on the left. And as a result, we're taking the market down to the 1 hour. Because in my mind, the program is reading 30-minute breaks down. What's the next algorithmic simple moving average calculation downwards that we then need to test? Because if you think about it, the market's just moving uptrends to downtrends, right? So if you look on this chart to the right, the 1 hour is positive. It back tests, it's positive. It's back testing again here. If you look at the 30-minute, we know the 30-minute was positive, then it back tested, right? So we know the 30-minute was positive. Then it back tested, all right? And now it's breaking down. So the 30-minute has entered a downtrend. The market then says, let's try the next uptrend that's still intact. And in my view, that's the 1 hour. So now the 1 hour program is getting tested. Is the stream still coming through okay? Is it starting to lag? Is it doing weird things? But anyways, yes, we just completed the kind of sell program, the selling move on the VIX down to the 1 hour. So this is where the 1 hour trend gets its opportunity to kind of bounce. But just in general, I don't really like the way the 1 hour looks. I kind of feel like it's going to end up breaking down, but we'll see. Right now, if I bring that up, let's bring that up real quick. If I bring this up on a 1 minute, right, this right here, this 1892, that's the 1 hour 50 SMA. So what you're seeing right here is programs holding the 1 hour 50 SMA, right? And if the 1 hour starts to break down, that should add more fuel to the fire for the markets to go long. So if we take out the 1 hour, behind the scenes, what I would imagine computers and programs are thinking is, okay, 1 hour VIX breaks down, keep bidding markets up. That's how I would view that. All my stuff just dropped off. Don't know where it went. There's that. There's that. Stream view. There we go. Wait, where did my other thing go? YouTube. Yeah, so right there, my YouTube stream started having some issues. Okay, this is the same thing that happened years ago when my YouTube streams got knocked offline. So someone had been DDoSing my YouTube streams. So it would appear that the information a lot of times that I provide, there are people that don't like it. I haven't been able to prove it, but one can draw conclusions. So fingers crossed that, praise be to God, that he has our back and will protect us and keep our YouTube streams alive. That would be great. All glory to him. So fingers crossed, and that doesn't happen again. But that is part of the reason I would feel that our last YouTube channel got rocked was for whatever reason our stream started getting knocked offline. So we'll hope that doesn't happen here, but that's the first time I've seen that in months. I've been streaming for months, and that's the first time I've seen that, and I can promise you I have good internet. So fingers crossed, fingers crossed. So yeah, I hope that all makes sense. I think we've done a pretty good job predicting the market once again today. So yeah, cheers guys, good stuff. Hope you guys are riding long on the old marquee. Anything else going long? Nvidia, I should have bought Nvidia. I'm such a Sally dude. Sometimes I'm just such a little Sally Magoo. Should have bought it. Should I still buy it? It's elevated risk, Connor. It's elevated risk, but it is also Nvidia, and everyone loves to just absolutely cream themselves over Nvidia. Well, the long target is kind of already complete back to 189 in that regard. Let me check the 4 hour. Oh, already over the 4 hour. I'm going to pass on Nvidia, and I'm probably just going to be salty. But whatever. That's okay. I've put enough trades today. And if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And whatever. I'll be here next week, and there'll be plenty of more plays. And Amazon's still doing good, so that's cool. All right, sweet. I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to go back to my biggest gainers list. Yeah, I'm going to go back, start looking at the biggest gainers again, seeing if I'm going to start from the bottom too, because those are going to be the ones that are most likely to be breaking over where we need them to. Nope, that one's too late. RKLB. Damn, I put everybody on RKLB. Damn, I should have freaking look at RKLB, dude. That thing's going through an absolute boomer. But anyways, I would mention RKLB as a long yesterday. Man, I can see why people want to DDoS my streams. I'm just throwing out bangers these days. Man, tenure took a long time to get here. Kava. Ooh, snap. I'll take that. Yeah, I think I'm going to buy CAVA. What is this? Kava. I'm a little late to it, but I'm going to buy this one. All right, cool. I just got long CAVA. Damn, that one's good too. See, like I'm saying, like everything's starting to look good now because the markets are kind of going into buy moves, right? So the patterning's looking a little better. That could be decent. I don't know how I feel about that one quite yet. RKLB, that was money. Should have held that, obviously. That's something else I got to get a little better as holding some of my plays a little longer because I'm being right way too often and I'm just missing too much money. So we'll get there. It's no big deal. A lot of good moves here on some of these plays, man, but we're just a little late. Okay. So that was earnings today. Kind of looks decent. I don't know. All right. So right now we should also be focused on. We're focusing on Apple and we are focused on Tesla right now. Those are the other two stocks that are kind of coming into those levels, right? So it's not that they're going to break out. I mean, how they could have resistance and reject, right? You know, markets in theory can always do whatever they want. But again, they're kind of back to the algorithm level. So since they're back on the algos, we're keeping focus on those ones. So right now I like to keep some tabs on Tesla and Apple just because they are the closest to the next kind of like breakpoints and things like that. Nvidia is working well, obviously, and it looks like they're trying to be dumb on Netflix. Yeah, so we aren't going to get played on that one. Damn, what a beautiful day it has been. I mean, shoot. We put everyone on Nvidia, put everyone on Amazon, a little bit on Netflix, then long the market and short the market. We haven't had, besides Netflix, we haven't had any recommendation today that's actually been wrong. So that's a bonus. Or have I? No, I was pretty nimble today, pretty patient, and everything that we've talked about and discussed has worked. That is pretty crazy. That's not every day that you usually get that. And what I mean by that is, is we talked about Nvidia getting over, even though I didn't buy it, I'm like, that one's a long, that looks good. Amazon was the long, that one worked. We're trying Netflix right now. We might try Apple. We might try Tesla in a bit. And then we got long the market. That one worked. We got short the market. That one worked. So the only thing that's kind of not worked is Netflix, even though it worked for $1 or so per share. But now it's like, is that thing going to actually wake up and start doing something? We also, we didn't talk about the VIX breaking down and selling to the 1 hour VIX target, but in the back of my mind, that's just always the play. So remember that not always, but usually, whenever the VIX breaks down the 30-minute, you're always targeting the 1 hour trend. Whether or not it sells there perfectly is another thing, but that's always it, right? There's times where the 1 hour trend on the VIX is actually priced above the 30-minute, but that very rarely happens. So anyways. Oh, yeah, I'm going to bring that back up, huh? All right. PENN. That's not working. Oh, snap. I totally forgot. Remember REPL today? Yeah, I forgot I bought that. Remember we bought REPL down, so that one worked. What did I get on that one? I got 3%. Wait, is that right? Yeah, about 3% on it. So it's not terrible. It's not amazing, but shoot, I'll take some 3%ers all day. All right, so I'm going to close some of that REPL there just because that's a guaranteed win on the day. And now I'm going to hold the remainder as a swing. And if it keeps going, great. If it doesn't, well, this is what it is. Netflix, still green on that. That's good. LR, no. HL. That one. I'm not down much, so I'll stay. Kava. What's Kava? Kava, we're green on. So let's go back, check Kava, because I know we just put that one on. Let's see how she's forming up. I mean, slow grind, but, might still keep creeping on up. I might still keep creeping on up there, Bubba. All right. What's Netflix doing? What kind of bullshit are they trying to pull on Netflix? Let's see. Then again, I feel like Netflix has really been struggling as of late. Let me just look at this thing. Jeez, can I type what? All right, so just a little bit of an update with Netflix, right? Netflix 50 SMA is at $77.12. So if the Netflix market is lame, they're going to pull the market back to $77.12. So, just an FYI, right? We already know what's going to happen. If Netflix doesn't just continue long, right, the target where algorithms and what are watching would be probably down to like $77.11 or so. So just keep that in mind. What's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin is pretty much doing absolutely nothing. So, cool. Not that we wouldn't really expect that to be happening, but yeah. So Netflix, or sorry, not Netflix, but Bitcoin just being pretty much boring, lame, probably going to go lower, and we're going to have to look for some sort of bouncing sometime later. Apple, Mr. Snapple, is starting to get positive here. Are they going to run a scam, or are we actually going to do something decent on Apple? Let's see, AAPL. Apple, my Snapple. Apple has room up to $269, and well, not necessarily. Let's see. Where's the daily? So the daily's there, so we'd have to get over the daily first, but back to the daily is 267, so that would be $2 a share. So there's $2 up for that. Maybe. Also dependent. What's the NASDAQ now doing? Let's see, where are you at? So that's broken out. So we're starting to see markets move. So the NASDAQ is moving. But it's not moving on. Well, I guess it is. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, shoot. It's working. Yeah, so right now, I mean, it's basically Amazon, Nvidia that are leading the way on, you know, this market recovery for the time being. Yeah. I'm going to start slowly developing some small positions there in Apple. Again, I trade on a pretty small account with some of the stuff. But yeah, I'll start moving some there. I don't know. If the market really turns into a buy signal, Apple could turn into a swing trade. So it's relatively expensive, $265. But I'll try a little stab there for some funsies. Oh, shnikes. Why is that like that? That's weird. Oh, daddy. Oh, daddy. Okay. How's Netflix doing? Is Netflix doing anything? Not really. Kind of. Apple, kind of. We'll see. By the way, still long UPRL, or UPRL, still long UPRO, you know, so we're still long the market, long Netflix, long Apple, long RUPL, long Kava, but that's kind of maybe not working so great for the moment, but that's okay. All right, gonna start looking. I'm just gonna be flipping through some of these things, looking for some plays. Could be. I just took some small long on INBS. Right now, the volatility index is still sitting at the 1 hour trend. We will want/need to see the 1 hour volatility markets break down for more optimism to fuel the long bias move on the markets. Dang. Yeah, we're kind of late to that one. You know what? I'm gonna take some of that too. When moon. Damn, I knew it. HYMC. Idiot. Should have bought that one. Stupid. Whatever. What kind of scam is that? Alrighty. Alrighty, so as you can see, market is pretty much coming back down to the 1 minute volume weighted average price. I'm almost, yeah, there we go. It's going to happen. So remember we said, like, however long ago, the market will guaranteed come down and test the 1 minute volume weighted average price VWAP, right? It's because it's just what happens. So pretty much right now, like, the main zone we're watching right now on the market is from here to here, right? That's still our zone, right? If in the event the market actually starts to get below this, then we might consider there's like a more of a serious top. Otherwise, it's just going to be down into here, then bought back up. All right. So that's pretty much the two options. As stupid as that looks and sounds, that's pretty much it, to a degree, give or take. Again, we're still long Netflix, still long Apple, still long REPL, still long UPRO, still long I don't know what else. Got some long on AIM, ASPC, GBTC, IBIT, IOBT, MSTR, MSTH, UPRO, etc., 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 and a bunch of others. But, yep. Cheers, Joe. Cheers, brother. Oh, boy. Ugh. Oh, my little Bitcoin. I'm just sitting here joking because what else am I going to do? But yeah, so that's cool, I guess. Bitcoin with a little bit of a bouncer Magoo. That should help my other portfolio. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's see how is VXUS doing? VXUS almost all the way back to the all-time hizzies. Not really, but that's good. Love to see that. How's DIVO doing? DIVO is going up. That's good. Let's check the 30-minute. It's relatively on the same pace as the market for the moment. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. Let's see. Let's see, Google. Year-to-date returns for SPY. The year-to-date returns for the S&P 500 are like 0.3% or something. Let's see, let's go to the year. Yeah, it's up maybe like 0.3% on the year or something like that. Let's see, year-to-date returns for DIVO. Year-to-date returns for DIVO are about 5%. So I'm basically beating the market on some of my investment there into my long-term portfolio by about 4%. So you really can't complain. So far, my decision to move and allocate capital before 2026 to DIVO to beat the market has worked. So, fingers crossed that keeps working. Probably not. Never know. let's go check on VHE, Vanguard Healthcare. Let's check our healthcare play. Not really doing a whole lot. Okay, let's go check our IHI play. Working, that's nice. That means that's gonna help my portfolio there. So, cool. That's nice. Come on, little shitcoin, you can do it, buddy. Buddy old pal. Oh. Alrighty, so Amazon still holding up really well. Apple kind of just doing whatever. Nvidia still holding up. So basically, Netflix and Apple are still doing okay. They're moving slow, but you know, it is what it is, right? You know, we kind of already mentioned this earlier today that Amazon and Amazon and Nvidia were leading the pack, right? Then the next two to start going positive were Netflix and Apple, right? So they're moving a little slower in that regard. But yeah, so now the next area of focus is going to be on Microsoft. So now we're going to be focusing attention to Microsoft because Microsoft is now doing what? Coming into the algorithm level. So same thing we talked about Amazon, same thing we talked about Nvidia, same thing we talked about Apple, same thing we talked about Netflix, we're now looking at with Microsoft. So you can see it's the same exact strategy across everything, right? So that's how it becomes very simple, very easy, very quick, just to look at your chart and be like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, maybe so, right? But granted, so like when you think about something like Microsoft, right? If you bring up Microsoft, Microsoft is coming into its algorithm level at, $401.30, right? So it's already moved up from a low of $396.50 to, arguably $401. So when we talk about the market on Microsoft breaking over the 50 SMA, getting positive and going up, it's like, does it really want to break out right now after going up $4 a share? Is it something that's going to break out right now, a little later, or is it setting itself up for something maybe tomorrow, right? These are all the things we don't truly know, right? And algorithms and computers run the markets. All we can do is put our eyes and our attention where the algorithms are priced. And then from there, try to do our best job at getting on the right side of the program, right? That's all we can do. So Apple right now has its 50 SMA down at about 264.61. So this is the same scenario as Netflix. When we got long Netflix, we had mentioned, hey guys, if Netflix doesn't just keep going and it pulls back, it's going to want to target down to $77. That's the 50 SMA. Same thing here. If Apple doesn't want to just keep going up on its long and it has to pull back, algorithms are going to look to take the price down to 264.67. So just know if things don't work, that's the fail point. That's where things go, right? But right now, Netflix is doing okay, and it's starting to wake up a little bit, so that's nice. Apple's just basically chilling, not really doing a whole lot, but it's still positive trend, which keeps us kind of like okay for the moment. Amazon's just straight pumping face. Not really. It's just doing well. It's up quite a bit on the day, but Oh my gosh, work. Come on, baby girls. Keep on pumping. So we'll bring up Microsoft. Because look at, as we said, Microsoft. So remember the phases of the market, right? So the phases of the market, phase 1, break out. Phase 2, pull back. Phase 3, break out. Phase 4, pull back. Phase 5, decide. New breakout or stay down, right? So right now we're phase 5 Microsoft. Good old phase 5. No, not phase clan, phase 5. So, in a nutshell, right, we just came from phase 4, which is reversal long, so RL, reversal long. We are now phase 5, so this would be P-FO. We are now P-FA, which is decide. Do you want to break out, go up, or start, or continue, stay down, right? I'm going to be leaning more on the long because obviously the market is positive and the VIX is broken down. So I am more on the long side optimism with Microsoft. What I don't like with Microsoft is the fact that it has run all the way up to here, right? And just because it's over for 1 or 2 minutes doesn't mean I should just get long, think it's just going to go like that, right? It's not usually how things work. So I don't know if I should be buying in this exact moment or giving it a second, waiting for more development. I'll probably wait for more development, right? So I'm probably going to lean on, I like Microsoft, I just think it's too soon. So we're going to sit back, we're going to wait, we'll see what sort of scumminess they pull. In my opinion, it's probably going to have some resistance here because this is just, what? This is the 50 SMA, right? So look at, ready? Right, so what are the odds the market bottoms here, right? So we go from breakdown to oversold bounce back to trend, and then we're just going to break out and just do that. No. Things usually don't go like that. Is it more likely we kind of hang out here, maybe chop, and then decide? That might be more likely. What are the odds that maybe we break down a little bit, then come back, then go? I think that's more likely. Or maybe we break out a little bit, fail the long up, pull back, retest, then go. I would think all 3 of those scenarios are more likely than breaking out and continuing to go. So therefore, I'll just wait, right? Because the 3 scenarios I see playing out are far more likely than buying and it just continuing. So that means for me, I'll just chill, do nothing, wait till I think it looks better or I have more confidence. Apple's still working, Nvidia's still working, Amazon is still working, Netflix is just kind of chilling. We now are watching Microsoft more closely to see if it gets a transition, whether it be today, tomorrow, coming days, next week. We're watching after Microsoft will most likely be Tesla will follow next. It's either gonna, I mean, there's only so many. It's either Tesla, Meta, or Google, right? And there's no guarantee that all of these things are gonna go into an uptrend, right? But if they were, those would be the next 3. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Oh, come on. ARAI. So ARAI is a stock that I've owned for a couple days now. We've mentioned it a little bit, but just ultimately, like, ARAI is a stock where it says, you know, basically it flipped trend positive a couple days ago, took a little stab at it, turned it into a swing trade, and basically now it's like if it gets over $1.27, it might break out and go. So if you guys want to follow that one, I'm not saying participate. It's just simply watch it, understand the levels, $1.27. If it goes over, that could trigger a program to start off a buy move. So that's pretty much what I'm banking on over the next couple days, or else this trade's just going to sit and do nothing for the moment. But if you want to follow that price point, ARAI, $1.27, you'll see what I'm talking about. Oh, Shrighty. Whatever happened to Kava? Hell yeah, brothers. We are now up $1. Right, what is that? How much per share? What are we up? I don't even know. 68. No, we're not. Never mind. But either way, Kava is working. We're up about 1%. I mean, that's it. And so it's nothing crazy, but 1% on the Kava move. I mean, you can't complain as long as things go in the direction of your move. That's good. That is good. We're up 0.2% on Netflix. Apple, we're up 0.1%. Kava up 1%. HL up 0.5%. INBS, that's that other one I took long on. What a little scummy turd. That's okay. Yeah, I took some on this INBS. It's very, very low volume. It's probably not going to do anything, but it's like, it's kind of one of those ones like, yeah, whatever, I'll take a little stab. If this thing turns into a swing trade, you know, maybe it goes up 20, 30%. I don't know, but like, whatever. Microsoft is trying to get over that 50 SMA. Oh, I just don't trust it. Part of me wants to long it because I don't, you know, it's like that feeling of like, what if it continues? But it's like that stuff almost never happens like that. So I'm gonna wait a little bit. But I do like the way Meta's kind of Microsoft is moving a little bit. But it's still potentially scummy. Man, it's a splendid day. I would say most trades have worked. We've hit a lot of things. We're in a lot of areas of the market. And yeah. The chat today is super duper busy. There are so many questions, I can hardly keep up with the demand. We must be working with market makers on Wall Street because it appears everyone in our chat always knows everything already. They never ask any questions. Sometimes I don't even know why they are here. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, Kava moving well. I wanted to take some long on NAMM, but Thinkorswim said I was too stupid and I'm not smart enough, and they didn't want me to buy it because it was too risky. I don't know. They wanted me to call the broker to buy it. That's a terrible idea. Why would I call my broker and waste a bunch of time when I could just buy it through a platform? No need. That one looks somewhat decent, but I just don't know if I trust it. See, it always comes down to, like, if you don't catch the breakout, will something continue? So you end up playing this game of, like, is it going to continue? Is it not? And it just gets a little tiring. But yeah, I did want a little NAMM, but couldn't buy it. That was a good move. Amazon's still working. Netflix not really doing a whole lot. Apple not really doing a whole lot. Microsoft going to where we need it to, but still maybe a little early on that. Standard dev was more fun. Oh no, yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know, I find this even more fun than standard deviation. I mean, I still use it, but I only use it specifically for when something's super duper overbought or when the stock market basically is, gives us the perfect buying opportunity. So I use it only in specific moments now. It's actually pretty decent. Already hit target, so that's debatable. I'm going to start a small long there on ROLR. It's a little elevated, but whatever. It might end up being a swing trade, So anything I can buy can be a day trade / swing trade, so just keep that in mind too. Well, I am going to take a small little stab on Microsoft. I could still be kind of chasing it up to a degree. We'll see, but if markets and everything keep performing well, we could see Microsoft maybe up to the price of $404.44. That would be ideal. Obviously, we kind of need things to keep moving well for that to happen. Microsoft will be the same exact story as Netflix, same exact story as Apple, and that is if Microsoft does not just keep going up, then ultimately the market will always want to pull back to the 50 SMA. So in this exact moment, obviously if green candles don't keep coming, then we're just going to see the price go back to about $401.30 for the moment. So whatever. But yeah, I mean, it looks decent. We'll see. I don't know. I'm just kind of trying something here because I'm just trying my best to listen to my systems, which is if something's entering a buy move, you add long. It may not work perfectly in this moment. It might need a dip again, but you can't deny one thing over the other. Microsoft is moving pretty good. It's breaking over specific levels that need to break out. It has room all the way up to $404, whatever. All right. And like we already said, right? If it doesn't just keep going up, you will guarantee that the price just comes back down to 401.21. It's pretty straightforward there. All right, so that one's good. I'm going to keep going through some of these biggest gainers. The market still just kind of hanging out to the upside. Bitcoin getting slapped a little bit there. Nvidia's still doing okay, Amazon's still doing okay, Netflix just hanging out, Apple hanging out, Microsoft hanging out-ish. Tesla now coming up to its algorithm level, so now we're going to start putting a little bit more attention on Tesla now that Tesla is moving into its, again, its algorithm over-under at the price of $416.58. So we'll put some attention here on our friend Tesla. Oh, man. Oh. Let's see, shall we? Let's see. Direct messages, message requests is probably Trader Walt. Gotcha. I will get you your stuff in a bit. All right, looking at our good old friend Tesla. Again, Tesla is coming into the algorithm trend over under. So again, the simplest way to kind of talk about Tesla would basically be market has come to the deciding. We're phase 6 Tesla, phase 6, which is decide whether it wants to stay down or whether it wants to go up into an uptrend. So we are, or wait, did I say phase 6 or phase 5? Yeah, phase 5 on Tesla. Heck, Microsoft is trading all the way down on the daily chart at -2 right now. It's actually kind of makes me like that dip by even more. Yeah. Okay. Nvidia's coming off the neg 1. At my price target all the way to 206. 190, 206. Yeah, it might do that. That's not bad. Yeah, Netflix has been a pretty steady downtrend there for some time. And that is at neg 1. Daily. Oh, this is the weekly. Apple's on the low side. SPY is on the mag ones. I see. Tesla's at mag 1. Actually, a lot of these big stocks are at pretty decent, pretty decent buy points for swing longs as it relates to standard deviations. Amazon's at neg 2. Google's not. AMD neg 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, we're going to end it there for the day. It's been a long day. We've accurately predicted a lot of markets today, so you can't really be too mad about that. So cheers, have a good one, and I'll catch you guys in the next stream. Bye-bye.